darkened shadows of the government halls lies the truth. A truth waiting for a voice. The KCOR Digital Radio Network proudly presents to you that voice. And now, broadcasting to you at the speed of light, from her mobile command unit, somewhere on the Celestial Highway, the host of Hyperspace, Solaris BlueRaven. Solaris BlueRaven. Wanna take a ride?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hyperspace on KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. Hope everybody's enjoying their Fantopia Friday with UFO Classified with Erica Lukes and Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Don't forget you can listen live to the show on your phone calling in at 605-475-1680. You can sign into the chat room at kcorradio.com and participate with the show in chat, or you can call in with a question on Skype at kcorradio.com, or excuse me, KCOR Radio, or call in and ask a question at 702-425-9230. And you can text your questions or comments at hashtag KCOR on Twitter. My new book, 1 Million Miles to Midnight, is available on Amazon.com and glennandt.com. And we're in the process of rearranging that because we have some issues with Amazon right now, but go ahead and access it through Amazon if you choose. And pick up your copy today. They make good stocking stuffers. And a shout out to Dark Matter Digital Network. You can catch the replay of Hyperspace on Sundays at their network. And you can also catch the archives for free here at KCOR Digital Radio Network in the archives section. If you'd like to support the station at KCOR, just click the donate button and show your support for the station and hosts. And you can also donate to a show of your choosing here at KCOR, which you can specify. And we certainly thank you for supporting this wonderful, incredible network. Don't forget you can catch the replay for Hyperspace on Paranormal UK Radio Network in each Friday night from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And I just want to say a special hello to everybody in the chat room in there, Aaron and Mr. Rowe and Jerry and all the wonderful people in there and everybody listening. So just a special shout out to everybody there. I have an incredibly lovely guest tonight, and she's been on the show before. My special guest this evening is Barbara DeLong, an internationally renowned spiritual intuit, medium, channel, author, artist, lecturer, and ordained minister. Barbara DeLong has been working professionally in the spiritual field since the early 70s, in addition to being a full-time special education teacher and a single parent. In the 80s, she began painting personal mandalas for friends, and since that time, her paintings and the life readings that go with them are now worldwide, with over 400 of them in private collections. And these individual paintings evolved into a circular oracle deck called the Cosmic Deck of Initiation. It's a beautiful deck. I have a copy, and it's incredible. It's an incredible deck. Her website, Barbara DeLong, Spiritual Empath, is a teaching site combining personal information and a plethora of spiritual material and energetic forecasts for each week of the year. In October of 2009, she launched her own radio show called Nightlight, which features spiritual philosophy and teaching. It's really an awesome show with questions and answers and free psychic readings and all sorts of really wonderful things. You can tune into her show on Nightlight. It is on Revolution Radio each Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Studio B. And she has an incredible bio, but I'm going to shorten it up just a little bit here, and we'll discuss it. We have 2 hours to talk about everything. And her website is www.barbaradelong.com. And please welcome Barbara to the show this evening. Good evening, Barbara.
Good evening. Yes, it's embarrassing. It really is.
Oh, no, yeah, I'm proud of you. You have a beautiful bio. It's incredible. But I think everybody kind of knows who you are. You've been on the show enough. But, yeah. No, I think you're fantastic. So how are you doing?
Doing well. Really actually very excited about coming into a new year and starting new projects and, just sort of getting used to tying up all of my loose ends and then seeing where I'm going to take stuff from here, because the new year is going to be, it's a new year. So you have to start a new project or 2 or 3 or 5 or 20. So
right.
On top of keeping up with everything else. So that's my intent.
Very good. Well, it's new beginnings, new energy, as I like to say. And, coming from your level of psychic ability and energies, what have you experienced this past year? And what do you think we have to look forward to in 2018? I know it's like Russian roulette, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh. This last year has probably been one of the most unusual years that I've ever, witnessed, lived through, and really tried to in some way give people a warning as to what's coming. And we certainly have had what I would consider an amazing awakening that has taken place. And among other things, along with that has come horrific geological and cosmic all sorts of weird stuff happening with our weather, and it's going to continue. I wish I could say, well, we've been through the worst of it and it's going to get better. And that's not the case from what I can tell. From what I can tell, we have another probably 4.5 to 5 years to go where there's going to be this sense of this energy of turmoil and tribulation. And I don't mean that like, oh my gosh, the tribulation is coming, because that's not the case. But what's happening is, with the download and the opening of awareness within everybody, no matter where they are spiritually, this energy is hitting them unawares, and it is causing amazing things to happen globally, politically, and personally to every person. Mm-hmm. You see situations coming to light that we didn't know about. You find people have been lying. You find people have been cheating. They have been working beneath the surface, globally and politically, and on a personal level. That same thing is happening to the individuals. Where facades have been, they are crumbling. Where people have been living lies, the truth is coming out, and people are having to be responsible for their actions, and the actions that they have done over the past are coming up to smack them in the face. Those people who are of a spiritual nature and element are experiencing the same thing, because where there was a good spiritual awareness, there is now a deeper spiritual awareness, taking you from the earth plane into a more cosmic philosophy. If you were in the cosmic philosophy to begin with, then it's taking you even further interdimensionally, so that everybody is being moved for. It's kind of like go directly to go, do not pass, and go directly wherever, and do not pass go, and do not collect $200. Just move fast, because you have to keep up with the evolution that's happening. And a lot of people are stumbling and falling and feeling out of sync with their reality, and it's going to continue. There is an amazing shift that is taking place, and at the end of that time frame, you're going to see most probably a different form of government in a lot of places. You're going to see countries that are no more, and you're going to see countries that have split up. And I'm talking 5 years here. And we're going to see, massive change. And hopefully that massive change takes us into a kinder, gentler world.
Mm-hmm. I certainly hope so as well. Yeah.
But in that time frame, there is going to be a lot of upheaval and I would say conflict. I don't think world war, but I think a lot of conflict.
I agree. Yeah, it's a stormy ride. There's no doubt about it. Before we went live, we were talking about hibernation, because I felt like hibernating, this past few months, and you were saying how that sounds appropriate. And so far, some of the spiritual people here who feel like they need to go within instead of being out there amidst the chaos.
Well, yes, and the thing is, people of a spiritual nature have and I'm not talking your psychic fair psychics. I'm talking people who are truly on a spiritual journey, and it's not that they're not on a spiritual journey, and I'm trying not to be judgmental. It's just that there is a spiritual shift and change here, and you have to go beyond the just psychic into a more spiritual flavor of energy. And if people are content to be just a psychic, then just a psychic is fine. But people are looking for spiritual guidance, and for that you have to seek somebody out who is clearly and obviously on a spiritual pathway themselves. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, if you're going to pick a dentist, you go to one that has good credentials and has a lot of good references. If you're going to pick a house of worship, you go and you find one that fits you perfectly. And the same thing is, if you want, I'm finding people coming to me more for spiritual guidance than a psychic reading, which I appreciate.
Me too.
I much prefer that. It's okay. Am I on a spiritual pathway? What are the things I can do to enhance the growth and open myself up to channel greater material that I've been carrying, with me throughout time? that's the kind of people that I have that are coming to me, which I find are fascinating. People are saying, help me to understand the subtleties and the symbols that my higher consciousness is sending me. How do I identify them? How do I apply them to my life? How can I take responsibility for my pathway?
Very good. Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of people are getting a lot of imagery insofar as symbolism goes. And, more and more people, I have to ask you about this, more and more people are getting the communication now. You know where I've been with covert technology, so I'm kind of jaded. But I will say there are a lot of people that are quote unquote claiming that they're hearing their guides talking to them. What is your take on this? Do you think that that's an entity? Do you think it's an imposter? Or do you think it's something coming up with connected to their multidimensional design?
I think it's their higher consciousness. I think it's their link with the infinite. So many people say they have a spirit guide, but the reality is we carry a fully evolved spirit within us, and that's our spirit guide. Mm-hmm. But lots of times people don't trust or have faith in hearing something that comes from within and acting on it. It's so much more appropriate if Saint Michael or Ariel or some major Melchizedek or Jesus or whoever or who was it, the Jay-Z Knight, Ramtha. The higher consciousness, knowing that the consciousness will not accept it from internal, create a holographic image and say it's something else, and they give the information through that entity that they themselves have created.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I agree.
So that in one way or another, our higher consciousness gives us information. If people are comfortable and have faith in the security of the spirit that they carry within, then it comes directly as a symbol or a hint of some sort within their everyday life. If, on the other hand, they really don't trust that, but they're perfectly happy with having Saint Michael or Archangel Michael speak with them, then that's who they believe the information is coming from. Mm-hmm. Because we can tap into, frankly, Archangel Michael probably has a lot of other things that he has to do. So most probably he's not, hanging around somebody's kitchen whispering in their ear. Mm-hmm. But the consciousness, the spiritual level of consciousness of Archangel Michael is out there and available for all of us. Mm-hmm. Right. So if that's where you want to get your information from, if you tune into it, you can draw that information through you. But it's probably better to trust to your own higher consciousness, because that's who has the roadmap for this and every other lifetime.
Mm-hmm. So well said. Yeah, it's a stream of energy. It's interesting. I do notice that more and more, a lot of people like to delegate to a guide or some other divine being. Like, it gives them more credibility when they're either doing a reading or a healing. And quite honestly, as you had said before, it really is about us, our ascended master within, being fully activated, if you ask me. So, it's very interesting and such a nice conversation. You're so enlightened. It's wonderful to have this information shared tonight with everybody listening. And so thank you. That's good information right there. There's no doubt about it. Are you writing any more books? I know I probably asked you before. Because you really need to. I'm looking forward to you writing again and doing something.
I fully intend to, and every time I think I'm ready to get started on it, something else comes up. I have a section on my website that's called 101 and More Questions Most Commonly Asked of a Psychic. And actually, there are 200 or 300 questions I've got. And my intent was to answer them and publish them as a book.
Nice, yeah.
Which I thought would be really cool. But then I recently have become interested and fascinated with YouTube. And I became interested in it because, people seem to be the cards seem to have become very popular. They've only been out there for 20 some years, but suddenly people are discovering them and using them and finding that they give them, really good advice. So my thought was, I would like to do some YouTubes in the instruction of how to use the cards and how to interpret them. And then on top of that, I also do gem casting. And I thought that would be fun if I could have a camera to show people how to do gem casting as well. And you can use the gemstones in much the same way that the astrological throw of the cards are. You can put the gemstones on the cards and you can get even further information on what's going on. So I do have a YouTube channel, and I do have a lot of interviews on it. Some of them actually have video and some don't. But my new thing is to learn to use and broadcast on YouTube Live, so that I can do demonstrations so people can actually see as I lay the cards out and explain, what the different areas are and how to use the cards for your own personal development.
Mm-hmm. So that's wonderful. Yeah, I like that idea.
And so then I thought, okay, so my thought was to just, put up a 2-hour video, and then somebody said, no, you don't do that. You do a shorter video because people's attention spans aren't very long. So,
mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of true, isn't it? People don't even read anymore, but they do like the visuals.
They do. And
that's why the mandalas are so powerful too. The work that you have with those oracles. I love that deck. I told you I use that all the time. I love it.
It's really a cool deck. I mean, mm-hmm. I have to admit that, and I say that in all humility because they came through me. They're not of me. So that it was something that happened. It was amazing. I had done the personal mandalas for a long time, a decade or two, and I did psychic fairs, and I did psychic art, and I did it with chalk. And I remember, coming home and saying to my mother, "This is the messiest thing in the world." I've got to find another way of representing myself and putting things out there. And at the psychic fairs, we would get together afterwards, and there were usually a lot of us, 20 or 25 psychics at a fair. And I kept, after 2 glasses of wine, I got very mouthy and started to criticize the standard tarot. And at the time, we had the Aquarian deck and we had the Rider-Waite deck. Mm-hmm. And, I said to them that I felt that the cards could frighten people, that they could get a negative connotation from this, especially if the death card fell and it was upside down. And, it was like, oh my God, don't even go on. I don't want to know. And I have to be, I have to say, before I go any further, that a very talented spiritual reader can give you a beautiful spiritual reading from any deck. But you don't always find that person at a psychic fair. So, and a lot of them, they finally did what they called a psychic intervention. And because I said I could create a deck that wouldn't scare people. And they gathered around me and they said, you can no longer have 2 glasses of wine after a fair. If you really believe you can create a deck that can't possibly be read negatively, then do it or shut up. Mm-hmm. So 9 months later, I put a deck in front of them that was a mock-up of pictures of the cards and a mock-up of how they would be used and everything. And I said, there you go. And I said, I'll give you half an hour. Make them say something negative. Mm-hmm. And they couldn't. They gave me a bottle. They gave me an open bottle of wine and said, go to it. You did it. And so I was very content. I didn't feel that the deck had to go any further. I had proved my point. And a friend of mine had a restaurant, and she called me and said, can you bring your deck down? I want you to show it to somebody. And I said, only if I get a free meal. And she said, sure. And I showed it to the woman, and she asked if she could borrow it. And she happened to be one of the representatives for U.S. Games, which at the time was the biggest producer of tarot in the world. Mm-hmm. And Stuart Kaplan, bought the deck. And
nice.
it was, I didn't expect it to get published. Mm-hmm. And I found it very interesting that it was 9 months. Yeah. it got published, and it's taken me on a ride for the last 30 or so years.
It's been wonderful. It's timeless. The thing about that deck is that it looks like it was out just yesterday or today. There's no benchmark or timeline to it. It's very nice. Infinite, comes to mind. I like that aspect. And it is on Amazon. That's where I purchased mine. But you sell them on your website. I can't remember if you do that or not.
No, I don't.
Okay. So, yeah, I know I got mine on Amazon. So it's pretty easy. Just in case anybody's interested in purchasing a copy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're all over. Even though they're not published any longer, they're very available out there on the internet. So all you have to do is go to Amazon or just Google the Cosmic Deck of Initiation. A number of people have gotten them from Great Britain for, I think, $5 or $6, and they're still shrink wrapped.
They're worth more than that. There's no doubt about it. And that's interesting that you say they're not in production, because it's like, I don't know where all these copies are coming from, but they're out there.
Well, I don't either. And the funny thing is, I said to Kaplan when I gave him the deck, I said, this is a sleeper. It's before its time. And then after 20 years, he stopped publishing it, and it suddenly became very popular. And I got the copyright back. And so then now he offered to print them for me. The only problem was I would have to pay $6 a deck, and I'd have to order 3,000, and there's no way.
Oh no,
no way. I like the fact that people have to search for them. It means that the people that really want them are the ones that are finding them.
Yep, exactly. It's like the keys of Enoch. They say the people that have that book are supposed to have it.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing. And we're going to hit the break here in a couple of minutes. But hi, Dwight in chat. Dwight Lilly has a question here. Does the guest have any visions of what is in store for 2018 in America? I don't know if he was there when I asked you that or not, but go ahead and.
Well, I do believe the government is going to have to change. It's going to have to be reorganized. I do feel a lot of people in power now are not going to be in 18. I think Trump will be where he is going. I think he will go out. He will live out, and he will serve his first term, possibly a second term. And that there is a real shifting around of how things are organized, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what we're seeing here. Mm-hmm. So there is going to be a reorganization of the government on a rather massive scale, and I do feel that somewhere in the United States, the National Guard is going to have to be called in a number of times in 2018.
Very interesting. And what about earth changes? Do you see anything insofar as that goes? Absolutely.
We've got more earthquakes. We've got more hurricanes. And we also have, we've had water and fire, hit us hard this year. I think that air and earth are going to hit us next year, so that we're going to find that climate is going to be not our friend. We're in for droughts, and we're in for floods.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense right there.
And earthquakes. And I'm still saying the New Madras line is going to erupt again.
I remember you saying that before, too. Yeah, highly possible. Yeah, we're going to head for a break, everybody. You're listening to Hyperspace here at KCR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My lovely guest tonight is Barbara DeLong. We'll be right back. I hope I'm not jumping the gun, but sometimes I do before breaks. You just never know. But I think we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Hyperspace, hosted by your mistress of the night, Solaris BlueRaven. Solaris BlueRaven.
A vision that tells us that we belong to something that is greater than ourselves, that we are not, that none of us are alone.
Share the truth and be part of the movement by calling the KCOR hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More with Solaris BlueRaven on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Santa's coming to town.
Santa! Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
Hi, it's Jeremy Scott from Into the Paranormal on Saturday nights from the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest. Merry Christmas from the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
That's
Good.
Turn your radio up.
I love it. All the music I want to hear. This is My station.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
British Columbia, Canada. Some very fine product coming out of there.
I wouldn't know. I've never been up there, eh? Hey.
I have, actually.
I thought it was the East Coasters that say A. But the fun
it's mostly the Central and East Coast say A.
That is the funniest accent I ever heard, though. The Chinese guy was from Canada. Every sentence ended in A. I swear to God, how you doing, A? Everything ended in A. I just thought it was funny. I'm not being racist here. I'm just saying.
Three Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint, and the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris BlueRaven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare, and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 million miles till midnight. Written by Solaris BlueRaven. Available now at Amazon.com and GlenNT.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
Patrick Phillips here, sending warm wishes to you and your family. May your heart and home be filled with all the joys of the season. Happy holidays from Pop Culture Tonight.
Hi, this is Bo Sinclair from Angels of Liberty. I listen to Solaris BlueRaven's Hyperspace, exclusively on KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Hyperspace. Beaming to you the truth at the speed of light. To be on with Solaris, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Magnify the experience by sharing your thoughts worldwide on Twitter using hashtag KCOR. Or converse with other whistleblowers and truth seekers in the live chat at KCORradio.com.
Well, that's your choice.
And now, the voice of hyperspace, your host, Solaris BlueRaven.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hyperspace here at KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I am your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My lovely guest tonight is Barbara DeLong. And before we hit the break there, Barbara, we were talking a little bit about some of the potentials concerning earthquakes and some of the other conditions that might even affect the fault lines. So that's something that you're really focused on, or you just get the impression that something's going to happen?
No, that's something I'm really focused on. And what's happening is the New Madrid line for some reason really pulls me, and the Mississippi was they've done a lot of fracking in the area, so that the fracking has caused the fault lines to shift around, and there were articles a while back about the Mississippi actually going down because it was draining into some of the fault lines. I have to admit, I have predicted it was going to go off for the last 3 or 4 years. And the year I don't predict it's going off is the year it's going to go off. So I'm just going to keep going. But right. there are 4 major fault lines that go across the U.S., and the San Andreas is not the biggest. So there's one in between California and where the New Madrid line is. That's kind of right in the middle between it. And then there's one that goes up the Hudson River, which, of course, among other things, has a nuclear reactor on it, Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen is there's so much shifting and everything going on, especially with all the earthquakes. If you take a look at all the earthquakes that we're having around the country, and especially in Oklahoma, it's profound.
Yeah.
So you have all that going on, and if you are familiar at all with the Billy Meyer material, and I think you are,
yep.
His predictions are about as dire as they come. And after he gives you all of these predictions that make you wonder why you're even here, he does say that, and he also does a lot of spiritual stuff as well. So, and he basically says that if the spirituality within the country takes over, then these prophecies, they're the prophecies of Hennock.
Mm-hmm.
The prophecies, it will shift the focus and we'll be saved. But he says there'll be 888 days of total chaos in his predictions, and if we don't change our ways, he basically says that the United States will be wiped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think his material has been spot on, quite honestly. I think he's very good. His philosophical energies and the things that he's come up with is, a lot of people like to dispute him, but I'll tell you what, that data to me seems very solid.
Oh my gosh. Mark and I, at one point, I said, well, what about his predictions? How good are they? And so we both dug into them, and I think we did 2 shows on it because there were so many of them. He was dead on about, dead on about cell phones, dead on about all sorts of the internet. He was so accurate about so many things that, Mark and I would get really excited, and I would say, what one are you on? And he would say, no, did you see this? And it's really been amazing. It really has. But a lot of times, very much like they do with Nostradamus' stuff, things are only, amazing if you can, what is it? Hindsight is 2020. But I know a lot of people were trying to find something that went as far as the election in Billy Meyer's stuff, and they found a couple of lines that might be, but it really didn't feel like there was a tremendous amount of linkage to politicians in this country and stuff like that. So, and it's the same with Nostradamus. A lot of his stuff, you have to stretch really far. Maybe not where he did mention, he mentioned some names in some of his prophecies that were, dead on. You just, you had to say, okay, I can't argue that one. But Billy Meyer's material, basically, I think it isn't a day-to-day stuff. It's more of an emotional, spiritual philosophy as to what is going to happen with the people if their awareness doesn't change.
I so agree. Yeah. And you see it from day to day without judgment, just as a neutral observer here, as I observe this world, people are just not connecting in with their spiritual design work or the multiverse. In my opinion, I think they're kind of disoriented and disjointed. So that's what we were talking about earlier, about hibernation and kind of breaking away and just kind of getting out of the way through this chaos, just getting out of the way. And I think that, the Billy Meyer material is incredible, and people should pay more attention to some of his contact reports. There's no doubt about it. He also, I think, a lot of people talk about Yellowstone. I've mentioned this often on the show, that they are predicting that Yellowstone might go sooner than later. And that's another thing. I don't know if you've locked in on that or not, but that to me sounds like it could be a possibility.
Well, that's a super volcano. And if that goes, then, we are going to be so focused on trying to keep our country together that nothing that goes on of a global nature is going to matter to us at all.
Right.
And I do think if that volcano goes off, that we become a third world country almost immediately.
Right. I agree with you on that one. What's interesting as well, in addition to the natural catastrophes that happen, we have the directed energy weapons and the covert technologies that are very secret, that are literally part of an escalation as far as how this can get out of control, right? Now, I look at some of these, even these hurricanes, we touched on this before, I think, but literally the massive hurricanes we've had recently, it seemed like they were almost steered and directed with some supernatural force possibly, or directed energy weapon. And, when I look at Yellowstone, I think to myself, all that takes is a little bit of a push,
Mm-hmm.
and
gosh,
with a tactical warfare program, and we're done. Or any other area across the globe.
Well, I do know that with HARP that we caused that tidal wave in Haiti. You know, so sure of that you know, I'm sorry, that's just a no-brainer. And I do believe that we have started to play with weather and things like that. What I don't understand is why they have to weaponize things that they discover that can help us, you know, in drought and things like that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. They have all of this amazing technology that they refuse to share with us.
Right. Yeah, it's that same bleed-through effect. You know, I touched on this also, that the two worlds that are existing simultaneously, we have the black science department, and then we have the regular mainstream illusion of science, which is nothing, literally. So I think there's a bleed-through happening, you know, from UFOs to experiencers to everything. It's actually bleeding through to a point where I think they're not going to be able to hide it anymore. And especially with people like with me who have been through the covert technologies, you can't hide this stuff once it's out. So it's going to have to be addressed in some form or another with ethics and a lot of other things that are happening. But I do look at that because to me, it's Atlantis rising, as you well know, or you probably have seen it. You know, the misuse of technology and also psychic ability and the supernatural and the weaponization of supernatural.
Well, that's what really bothers me. The spiritual aspect in all of us. I mean, we all have the ability to be intuitive. We all have the ability to be telepathic. We can do so many things if we have the proper core value system, and if we, you know, I don't want to sound too soapy, but you know, love is what it takes, and compassion and empathy and caring for other people, and not looking to gain power or wealth from other people, but to just share energy and to make life better for all of us. I mean, the ability to even with a garden, if you talk to the plants, they'll grow for you. I mean, it's easy. It's just that simple, and yet people kind of, you know, scoff at it. But they've done all sorts of amazing experiments with working with plants and encouraging them to grow or yelling at them. And I mean, I got to tell you, my yard is built on a gravel pit. And I put a garden in there, and the very first year it looked like it had been there for generations. And I would talk to the plants, I would talk to the little people, and they grow. And nobody believes I mean, literally, I had to take a pickaxe to the ground.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, you brought magic to the land. You know, it's like King Arthur. You bring magic to the land, and you respect the elements, the elementals, and all the different, the fae, the fairy. You know, I know that I had a really nice garden diva in my old place, and people would comment. You know, I had roses that were just phenomenal looking. But it's all about spirit and energy and how you treat the land and bless it. And also, I agree with that 100%. And if you look and see what's going on, not only in America but across the world, I don't think people are doing that very much. You know, I think that they've forgot about the sacredness of the world, and so far as the interactive energies that are here,
and their connection with the infinite. I mean, and I don't use the word God on purpose, because I really feel that there is a source of evolution, a source of creation, but I don't believe that it wanted to be worshipped, because it created it in each of us is a piece of that oneness. And so that in essence, it sent out parts of itself to seed the universe with love. And you know, when you take a look at people today, and so many people, you know, we have third world countries, we have people in this country starving, and we have rich people that just don't know what to do with their money, so that they do awful things because they can. And there's a sense here of, you know, people understanding that they are a part of creation. That means they are creators. And even if you don't have any money, you can create. And in that creation process, you radiate out an energy that brings things to you.
Correct. Yeah, the universe is rich, as they say. There's no limit on the checkbook out there. You know, we all have access. That's what the whole idea was, to redirect everything in the flow of energy to a construct, which is really about man's version of control and manipulation through whatever, whether it's credit cards, money. You know the drill. But yeah, and it's unfortunate people have lost that that level of consciousness where they can manifest at will their own reality. And I think that what's happened is that their reality is becoming diverted into the false matrix because of their intent, which is really getting sucked away by that. So that's just my take. That's my observation. But I'd like to see more and more people taking their power back, you know.
Absolutely. Well, you know, if you are responsible for your reality, absolutely. It is not, nobody's imposing anything on you and nobody's taking anything away from you. It's how you perceive and it's how you function. And so I can't tell you the number of people who are professional in the field who talk to me and say, I don't understand it. I'm not earning a lot of money and I do this to earn money. And it's like, if you're doing this work to earn money, you're not doing it for the right reason. Because if what you're looking for, I mean, they're charging outrageous amounts of money. And I mean, I won't deny that I do readings for money, but I also do readings for free. And I don't rely on the money that I make in this field at all. I have other money that I rely on. I can't imagine somebody going into this field to make lots of money, because that's not the purpose of it. You're supposed to be wanting to help people and be compassionate and help people understand situations and help them find the ways out of situations they've gotten into and help them find that magic that they carry within so that they can perceive their reality and put the magic into their life. And if you have magic in your life, then you are no longer in a black and white world. You're in a technicolor world, and it's magic.
Very true.
And you know, it's sort of like this field is a ministry. It's not meant to be something that you get rich at.
I don't know anybody who's ever gotten rich off of it. I think that you can make a decent, I don't even know, because honestly, whenever I did that kind of work, I was always working a real job, you know, like surveying or something.
Yeah.
You know, something to pay my real bills. And then whatever I did was, you know, that was there. It's available, but it's not something, it's like an author, you know, unless you really make it with these big companies, you're not going to really make a lot of money to live off of, in my opinion. So,
well,
yeah.
No, I think authors write for themselves and then they share it. And if they get money, that's great. But it's in the creation of the work. And you know, honestly, I think your books are just fabulous. And I have to say again, I steal your material all the time.
Thank you. You're a sweetheart. I appreciate that.
No,
I'm honored. I'm actually honored that you say that. I think it's wonderful because I think the world of you. So thank you.
Oh no, you know how to say it, and you say it beautifully. And your last book was really cool because you were teaching without anybody realizing you were teaching, which I thought it was fabulous.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, you never know how it's going to be digested when you put it out there, but it is guided by spirit, so just have to let it roll.
Oh yeah, and you know, I have Whispers of Spiritual Wisdom out there, which is a bunch of my poetry, and I never intended to do anything with that. Patrick, my late husband, said, "Oh, you got to publish this," and I said, "You're out of your mind." And I said, "You can't just put poetry out there. I mean, even my family wouldn't buy it." And so I said, "Okay, let me put blurbs in here anyhow." And the cover of the book is a photograph we took from the bathroom window upstairs at dawn one morning. So, you know, it was just, you know, I did it laughingly because he wouldn't let up on it, and got it printed. But, you know, I still have many books in me. I just haven't gotten any of them written quite yet.
You do. You have so much to give and so much information. You know, you're like an elder spirit. I love that about you because you're one of the beings that are important here on this world. This world is so bizarre sometimes. You need people like you, beings like you who are very expanded to remind everybody of their divinity, first of all. And then also just to kind of switch gears and go into that multidimensional realm. You know, I know we have plenty of time here, but I wanted to ask you a little bit about Patrick. I know that you have some incredible work that you did with him about connected to sacred sites and the megalithic structures. I was wondering if you could kind of give everybody a recap. I don't think we really touched on that before on the show. We might have a long time ago, but I was wondering if you can give everybody an insight as far as how you got involved in that.
Well, he was in California and I was in Connecticut, and he called one day and he said, "Hey, I have this video about chambers in New England. Do you know anything about them?" And I watched the video and I said, "I not only know about them, I live in the middle of them. Yeah, they're all over the place." And when he did come out here, we started to go see the chambers, and they're of corbelled construction, and they are absolutely ancient, and nobody knows who made them, and they are scattered. When I say they're scattered all over the countryside, they are. Some of them are on the sides of roads, some of them are deep in the forest, and they're all connected basically by these amazing stone walls that there are over, I think, 250,000 in 1832 or 34 or 39, 1839, I think. The government did an archaeological study of the stone walls in New England, and that did not include Connecticut, and there were 250,000 miles of them. That's enough to go to the moon and back. And there's no way that the colonials could have done them. And I forget, somebody wrote the governor of the Commonwealth of Connecticut asking about the chambers and the chambers, and who created them. The Native Americans who were indigenous did not create them. They don't know who created these chambers or the stone walls, for that matter.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And so we did a documentary called Secrets of the Stones about them and about their history. And we must have been in over 100 of the chambers. And we never arrived anywhere on time because every time we went out, we found a stone wall or we found a stone chamber. And it's to this day, no one knows who created them. And talking to people like Rick Osman, who wrote a great book called Graves of the Golden Bear. And if you want to know about the true history of the North American continent, you should read it. I've read it twice, and it's just phenomenal. But it's sort of like our history in this country has not been told to us. We're teaching our children lies. And it upsets me greatly. And one of the things with the Secrets of the Stones was nobody knew who created them. And there are no artifacts that have been buried near them so that they can be dated, except there are some charcoal pits that go back 5,000 years, especially in America's Stonehenge in, I think it's New Hampshire, but I'm not sure. But it's they're so ancient, it's unbelievable. And they take these 200-year-old houses that colonials lived in and they make great parks out of them. And these chambers just stand by. Nobody pays attention to them. Mm-hmm. And there used to be 800 of them here in the Northeast. There are now 200.
Wow.
So they're being destroyed. And the Smithsonian has been destroying stuff forever.
Mm-hmm. So, right, and you say that there were never any skeletons or anything found around them or anything like that.
No bones. I'm a medium. There's no spirit energy in them at all. And yet, if you go into into any of them, you have the same feeling you have when you're in a crop circle. There's a sense of peace and quiet that is inside of them. I've never seen any bugs or anything in any of them. There's silence and there's peace. And they're all out of granite, most of them. The lentils are huge. They're just huge. They're unbelievable. And they're constructed without any sort of cement or anything inside of them, so that they're freestanding just about, and they've been there for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. A lot of them are east-west oriented. A lot of them have magnetic anomalies in their entranceways, but nobody's been allowed to dig to find out what they are.
Oh, so how come they can't dig?
They have been prevented from digging. A lot of them are on private property, and people don't want you digging up their property. Some of them are on the land right near highways, and so the government won't allow it. Though the government will allow you to destroy them if you're going to widen the road.
Yeah.
And they there's nothing you can carbon date. They are granite mostly, and a lot of the granite has quartz in it. And I sometimes have wondered, pondered. I mean, they're also connected by a lot of the stone walls, which of course have been destroyed over time, a lot of them. But because of the quartz in them, I've often thought that they might have been used for communication of some sort.
Right. Certainly sounds like a resonance chamber. You know, what's interesting, I'd love to use ground penetrating radar over there. And also I was going to wonder if the cell phones would work in those tunnels.
No, they don't.
They don't. Oh, I bet I'd feel great in there then.
Mm-hmm.
My little head would get a break from all the transmissions.
Well, you know, it's really there. There's one that is very easy to get to. There's right along the side of the road, and you know they stand above ground. Though in some places, because trees have died and soil has piled up around them, sometimes there are even trees growing out of the tops of them, but the roots do not come through the ceiling. They go around them because they can't get through. They are that tightly sealed.
Wow.
And it is amazing because you feel safe, you feel protected. There's nothing scary about being in them. They're not huge, but they're not cavernous at all. I would say maybe 6 feet tall, maybe 8 to 10 feet wide and deep. Wow. They're not huge, but when you're in them, you feel safe and protected. But there's no doorway. There's no rock that covers it. There's no windows. There's no opening in the ceiling, so you can't have a fire in them. They said they were storage places for food, but in order to preserve food, you have to have cross ventilation, and there isn't any. They were not birthing chambers. They were not places you could keep animals because there's no way to hold them in. And the colonials had enough trouble trying to feed themselves and plant and crops and things. It couldn't possibly have been able to build them, and the Phoenicians 3,000 years ago were the only ones that used that kind of construction.
Right. What about a canal for water? Anything related to water?
Nope. Nope.
Very, very interesting. Wow. That's incredible information right there, everybody. We're going to head for a break here. You listen to KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I am your host, Solaris BlueRaven. This is Hyperspace. My lovely guest tonight is Barbara DeLong. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Stand by.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
You've been listening to Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris BlueRaven, where the truth is beamed to you at the speed of light. Live every Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the host of Hyperspace, Solaris BlueRaven, please visit her website at nightshadowanomalydetectives.com. Hyperspace. Once thought a theoretical dimensional anomaly, now a tangible cosmic waveform to the truth. Hyperspace.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Within the darkened shadows of the government halls lies the truth. A truth waiting for a voice. The KCOR Digital Radio Network proudly presents to you that voice. And now, broadcasting to you at the speed of light, from her mobile command unit somewhere on the Celestial Highway, the host of Hyperspace, Solaris BlueRaven. Want to take a ride?
Welcome back, everybody, to Hyperspace here at KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I am your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My wonderful guest tonight is Barbara DeLong, and we were just having such an incredible conversation on the break there. I know that before we hit the break, we were discussing the secrets of the stones and some of the things going on over there with the anomalies, the magnetic anomalies. I want to ask you, the documentary you have, is that still available?
It's on YouTube. It's on my
Okay,
YouTube
great.
channel.
And what's the name of the YouTube channel?
Barbara DeLong.
That's easy enough. Okay, everybody. So access the Barbara DeLong YouTube channel and check that out. And also, of course, your website's so nice. I was just looking through it. It's so much data in there. So if anybody's really interested in contacting you, all they have to do is access your barbaradelong.com and they can get in there and just look around.
Yeah, it's every so many years it gets redesigned, and it's about to go into another redesign.
Oh, is it? It looks great. So much data. I love it. Well, I hope you're going to keep what data you have here.
Oh yeah, no, it's still going to be there. It's just going to be rearranged. It needs a facelift. You know, every 10 years you have to perk yourself up just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little. Well, that's great. I like that. And I also know that you've been doing a lot of work on the a lot of research on the giants, and of course, and that's a big topic for everybody.
Yeah, no, the giants. I am just so. That's an area that fascinates me. That and the fact that not only were there giants in this land, but there was also a huge, what do I call them? There was a nation of little people that were 2 to 3 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And they found the burial grounds of a couple of them. One had 3,000 burials in it, and the other had about 10. So that it was a huge community. They thought at first they were children, but then when they did further examination, they found that they were mature adults between 40 and 70 years old. And I'm not sure exactly where time frame they come in, but they were, you know, I think what bothers me greatly is that this was not this North America was not void of civilizations. There were many civilizations here, and they were profoundly extensive, and they go back 10,000 years. So this was not, you know, fresh territory that hadn't been touched. This was a territory that was, I mean, the copper mines in Minnesota and Michigan have been mined for 9,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
That copper has been found in Italy and in Rome and all over the world, and it's a pure form that has silver in it, so that you know you can kind of identify where copper comes from because of the other ingredients that are kind of in with it. And the copper from Michigan and Minnesota, those mines, is the purest form that they've found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting right there.
So knowing that there was trade, obviously, and up and down the Mississippi and the Wabash River, there are forts that obviously were like toll gates, so that there has been trade from all over the world, and this continent. I mean, the Iroquois had a huge empire. Whoever built Monk's Mound, that particular culture was huge as well. There were cities, there were empires here. I mean, for heaven's sakes, the Chinese were here. It's Chinese or Japanese, Chinese, I think. But you know, it's our history has been so destroyed. And the antiquity that is in this continent is equally as old as the Egyptian stuff and the Roman stuff. And why our history books don't celebrate the antiquity that is here, why they hide it.
Right. Yeah, it's all about control usually.
Yeah, I mean, it's frightening. Powell, this guy that was in charge of the Smithsonian, was under a directive to destroy any material or artifact that suggested there was ever anybody here before Columbus, and he did a great job. Mm-hmm. But that practice continues. When the giant bones were found, they were and what's his name? Kincaid's Cave in the Grand Canyon.
Right.
When the material was taken out of the caves that he found in the Grand Canyon and shipped to the Smithsonian, they were put on barges and sent out into the Atlantic and dumped.
It's unbelievable. To the extent they go to obscure the truth.
Oh, it's frightening.
Yeah, and what are they so afraid of, Barbara? You have to ask, what are they so afraid of? There's got to be something there,
I mean, why would they have a problem that this continent was developed by many different people, and in some cases they weren't humanoid, but they were people. They were upright and stuff like that. The little people, I think, had a different. They determined that they weren't really Homo sapiens, but they were humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what happened to the little people? What's the theory behind that one?
Well, they found huge graves, and it may well have been disease. It may have been that they were overrun and then killed. But in what is it, Hawaii? They still have the hobbits. They have the little people there.
Did they live in the inner earth, or where's their location? Did they go underground? Or?
No, they're tribes on top of the ground. They're definitely there. So that this planet is amazing, and for some reason, when things don't fit a pattern that people have set out, that apparently we destroy everything that doesn't go along with our concept of what our history is. And instead of celebrating our history and saying, isn't this cool? They say, nope, didn't exist.
That is so weird. Out of sight, out of mind. But unfortunately, there's an energetic signature.
There is, but you need proof. And part of the problem with our history, I think personally, is that our educational system doesn't want to reprint the books.
Hmm? Yeah, I don't even know what they're printing now.
If I knew people that had young children, I would say homeschool them. It's the only way they're going to know the truth.
I totally agree. Well, I think it's going to get to the point where they're going to have artificial intelligence interface. They're just going to get downloads like the Matrix, and it'll be a false program integrated into their brain. So, the knowledge won't be correct. I mean, it's going to go from reading to interface with AI, in my opinion. I think that's going to be down the road, but I see that happening. I do.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I in a way I'm as techie as the next person, but when I see kids with the phones, texting one another, first of all, they're not learning how to spell, and secondly, they're isolating themselves, and thirdly, they are depending upon the cell phone, and they have no, they're not being taught to think.
Right.
They're being taught to say Siri. And what happens if one of those pulses hits the country and there is no electricity? These kids won't know how to think. They won't know how to analyze. They won't know how to figure things out for themselves. They are so initiated into depending upon an electronic thing they hold in their hand that they have no idea as to how to create something with those hands, except push those little, they have overdeveloped thumbs. It's ridiculous.
So true. I love technology too, but I have to tell you, there has to be a balance between spirit, consciousness, evolution, and the technology. And unfortunately, it's just, it's lopsided. There's no balance there at all. And I would say children really don't need an iPhone, and teenagers, honestly, I don't think they should get one until they're adults, quite honestly.
I agree with you. I think it's like a driver's license. You really, the longer you can keep them, not in a car, the better.
Well, it certainly seems that way. It will be an interesting future in the illusion of if we get through this storm. Let's put it that way. It would be interesting to see what this planet, the illusion of, is going to be like maybe 100, 200 years from now. And if there's even mankind here as a signature, who knows?
Well, there have been up to 5 mass destruction occurrences on the planet that we know of now. And, there's nothing that says that if this isn't working and humanity is destroyed and they go back and they start from a single cell yet again, we could be just repeating a loop.
Right.
Or we as you look at it now, you begin to wonder, what chance does humanity have? To go into other dimensions. It's really funny. I was talking to someone, I think it was Wayne Steiger, that that when, like the Anastasi, when a group of people or a group or a nation or whatever reaches a certain stage of spiritual evolution, as a combined unit, they open a portal and step into another dimension.
Yep, I agree. Totally.
And I think that is something that is possible, but it's a matter of enough people getting together to have the power to open those portals.
Right. Well, the hive mind can be a powerful thing, but if it's in the lower vibrations, as you know, they're not going to be able to have the higher frequencies to what we call phase shift or bilocate. So yeah, I see that too, and I see mankind as going into a kind of distortion, a field of distortion. So it's up to the people like us, the beings who are resonating at the higher frequencies, to kind of shift that. But yeah, it'll be a challenge to see what they can do. I'm a firm believer that we can go to the next level. We're already there in consciousness, but insofar as bringing everybody up with us is another scenario. And I see the split. I talk about everybody's talked about ascension, but it's literally the split with a new Earth star, where you have two different worlds separating, and one's more it's incomplete, and then there's one that's full light harmonic, which is complete, which means it's a higher vibratory rate, which means those who have ascended into their light bodies in their own physical bodies are able to resonate to the higher frequencies to ascend and phase shift. I mean, I know it's technical, but really it's just about spirit and consciousness. But now we have a world that's diverting everybody's psyche to the technology, and once again, you're dealing with the technological beast that's been created by man. It's a reflection of man's intellect, not a reflection of any God or any creator. So it's really strange.
Well, it is. Are you familiar with the solfeggio material? And when I discover something, it's probably I'm the last person to discover it before it goes antique. But I had Ted Winslow on my show, and I've been working with his frequency stuff, and it's fascinating because I've done meditation for, it's embarrassing how long, a long time. And I have meditation tapes all over the place, but when I got into the solfeggio material, where it's the different hertz that it is calibrated to, it is such a change. And it's meditation isn't just relaxation, it's opening that portal to the higher consciousness and the link with the creator, and learning that frequency has nothing to do with pitch, with volume, with rhythm, with anything. It's an energetic, and when you are into and surrounded by that frequency, the other frequencies that are possible, it's like floating in ambiotic fluid. It's like being taken to another place and rebirthing yourself on another level, which is fascinating.
Right, it's regeneration. That's an old Atlantean technique, if you ask me. So you're looking at cellular regeneration through frequency and harmonics, and it's always about that. Setting the intent. You can change your vibration through your intent. This through meditation, and most people don't realize that they can alter the reality. So not just their reality, but their health, their well-being. They can change everything. They can heal their bodies, but they've never been taught how to do that, and everybody's discouraged them. I mean, as far as the mainstream propaganda goes. So,
sure. And well, why would science want you to discover that?
Right. Oh, yeah, because the pharmaceuticals want to make some money off of you instead.
You're going to send, a whole, industry out of business. I mean, it's not only that, but probably cigarettes and pharmaceuticals and all sorts of other things. And why would the government want you to discover that? Because then you don't have to have them.
Right. Well, it's so weird. I think it's such a codependent relationship it's almost like a bad marriage. I look at the corporate government, which is a corporation, as just a bad relationship. You got to divorce it at some point in the continuum, because we can't keep growing and evolving unless we let go, and they need to let go too. So I don't know how this is going to end for anybody, quite honestly. It's going to be very interesting, because they're unwilling to let go. They can't stand the idea of people ascending through consciousness. They're doing everything in their power to control, manipulate, and bring down the mass collective. So
they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they have, and people are actually wanting it. There's people out there who actually do like that relationship and do want to be part of that. And for me, I'm like, you know what? I just want to explore the multiverse. I want to take my body with myself and just go and have fun and to new frontiers. Like Star Trek. I'm not kidding. I'm serious. It's just about expansion and consciousness, but going to new worlds that are more ascended and evolved. So I don't know. I'm impatient when it comes to certain things, but how many centuries does it take, Barbara? Think about how many lifetimes people have had on and off planet, and then think about how many levels there are here, and to what degree do we have to keep doing this stupid little carousel until people actually get it, right?
Well, I think that people who are evolved, people who are, everybody's evolving. It's just a matter of where you started from. And I do believe that being a living example of practicing what you preach is the only way to teach and to encourage others to learn to find within themselves that link, that bridge to awareness that helps that, because everybody's different. So everybody is seeking different things on the earth plane at this time. It's not a group effort, it's an individual effort. And people have to want to make that change and that difference. I mean, I haven't found everything. I'm still looking, I'm still seeking, just like everybody else is. And I don't have all the answers. I've got lots of questions and an opinion on everything. But, it's every time you find an answer, there's another question connected to it. And it's sort of like, if indeed a single conscious thought entity sent out portions of itself across the entire landscape, in order to those pieces to evolve, to grow, to become so evolved that at some point in time they became a consciousness with a thought that kind of sent out pieces of itself. It became the ultimate creator of a universe that it created itself to spread pieces of itself over and over and over. And once you become the God, the creator, you don't have everything. Then you have to find out, well, who created me?
And that's a scary thing, when not for us, but I'll tell you what, considering where we are and where we come from, and I call us celestial star people, I think that people are going to be very surprised insofar as who created or what created us and what we are actually an extension of, to be honest. I believe we're all hybrids and extraterrestrials and star bodies myself. But you talk about the self-replication, and I agree with that too, and that reminds me of nanotechnology to some degree, but everything is self-replication, and it is very, very interesting. To me, it seems like the answers lie in the celestial heritage. That's where we can get all the answers.
Oh, absolutely. And, if you were created by a creator, you have to reflect that and become a creator yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to create worlds and universes, but the more you create, the more you learn, the more you grow, the further you expand consciousness. And that's what, and I don't mean Sistine Chapel, Mona Lisa stuff, just creating within your own reality, whether it's gardening, whether it's drawing, whether it's writing, whether it's mechanics, whether it's learning new things. I mean, so long as you're creating, you're feeding and fueling that portal to the unknown and to the infinite.
That's very true. Yeah, I always figured out I always looked at it as we were just here to navigate consciousness and learn how to master consciousness, literally. So I think that's part of it, and understanding who we are as multidimensional beings, which will, link us up to the right source energy versus man's version. So, but I do think that somebody's gone to an awful lot of effort to deceive the mass collective, and I'd like to know who that unit is. People can call it Lucifer, Satan, this, that. I'm not buying it. But I think there's something very insidious that's happened to a point where it's really, really tricked the entire world and the mass collective to some degree. I really do.
Well, I don't think there's any trust anymore, anywhere. And frankly, I don't trust the government. I won't even get an immunization anymore because I don't trust what's in it.
Yeah, it's concoction.
I really believe that by requiring us to have inoculations and stuff like that in many ways, I truly believe that in some way they are inhibiting our reproductive abilities, and they're culling the population this way.
Oh, I think so too. And it's not only through that; it's through GMOs, it's through aerosols in the air, chemtrails, whatever you want to call it, geoengineering. There's all sorts of things that they're doing to shut down and switch off the DNA. And one thing I do know about the DNA, and very concerning also, is the 5G, because that to me is it's like it will try to fragment the DNA to some degree, which I'm very concerned about. But I think that the consciousness behind the DNA knows how to heal itself. Nonetheless, it's still going to be a problem, if you ask me. On an energetic level, it's going to be a problem. There's no doubt about it.
Well, in our DNA, we have the ability to replicate a limb that's been taken off. It's just not switched on.
Right. I agree. Yeah, that's the whole beauty of what we are as multidimensional beings. All these people are doing the transhumanism. We don't need all that. We are already those beings. We are already those avatars. I think that's what they're trying to do once again, is hijack and redirect the flow of what we are into their version so they can obviously make money and control and manipulate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it looks that way.
I agree
and it's not even a conspiracy. It's just common sense. I mean, it's just 1 + 1. It's just like we can read these people. They're very easy to read. Their intent is very easy to read. Bottom line, I could think of better things to do than control people like that. But go ahead.
Well, you kind of wonder. Okay, so they're out for global domination, obviously, but where do they take it after that?
Exactly. And what's in the future for them? Because I kind of see them as going extinct. I think that they're a dead end to nowhere. I don't know what it is about them. I hope that they change and shift consciousness, but I don't know. It's almost like they want to be king of the hill and nobody else can be king of the hill, yet they don't have the capability to be king of the hill or king of the cosmic design. So,
well, they certainly have been working on it for hundreds and hundreds, at least, of years. Right. And once they achieve it, I sometimes think that the Earth is just a big spaceship, and once somebody is powerful enough, it'll take us out of orbit, and the Lord knows where it'll go.
Well, I always say that, it's in my book, 1 Million Miles to Midnight, but it's it's kind of like that, too. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, we're going to have for a break, everybody. You're listening to Hyperspace here at KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My incredible guest tonight is Barbara DeLong. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Hyperspace, hosted by your mistress of the night, Solaris BlueRaven. Solaris BlueRaven.
A vision that tells us that we belong to something that is greater than ourselves, that we are not, that none of us are alone.
Share the truth and be part of the movement by calling the KCOR hotline number at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More with Solaris BlueRaven on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
It's Britney, bitch.
No, it's Jessica Johns, aka your favorite Britney fan from Reality Check, wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season.
The Fenton Files, where it's all connected.
You see, whoever controls technology controls the world.
Come explore a universe full of possibilities. Every Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. The Fenton Files. Go where no other show has gone before.
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there.
Whether it be UFOs, aliens, conspiracies, or even consciousness, your host, Lorian Fenton, has a file for that. The Fenton Files. Your journey to the truth is but a file away. Live, Monday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The Fenton Files.
Incredibly intense.
Where truth is just waiting to be discovered.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring. Why?
Anyone?
Because they were huddled around the fire, listening to the KCOR Digital Radio Network, home for the holiday special. Brilliant! Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, Christmas Eve, it's commercial-free holiday music.
Yes, this Christmas music. It's joyful and triumphant.
Our gift to you from the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
You're listening to the all-new KCOR, The Core, broadcasting from Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world. Oh yeah, in a little place called Area 51.
Santa's coming to town!
Oh my God! Santa here? I know him.
Hi, it's Jeremy Scott from Into the Paranormal on Saturday nights from the cold, dark depths of a secret dungeon somewhere deep in the remote Pacific Northwest. Merry Christmas from the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Woven throughout the universe are keys to a hidden message, awaiting a voice that can decipher their coded meaning, a cosmic connection to the cosmos. Tune in to the KCOR Digital Radio Network at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection with astrologers Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard. Your weekly astrology reading is but a phone call away. So call Cosmic Connection, Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and get your free reading today. Cosmic Connection with Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Hi, this is Bo Sinclair from Angels of Liberty. I listen to Solaris BlueRaven's Hyperspace, exclusively on KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Hyperspace. Beaming to you the truth at the speed of light. To be on with Solaris, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. Magnify the experience by sharing your thoughts worldwide on Twitter using hashtag KCOR. Or converse with other whistleblowers and truth seekers in the live chat at KCORradio.com.
Well, that's your choice.
And now, the voice of hyperspace, your host, Solaris BlueRaven.
Welcome back, everybody, to Hyperspace here at KCOR Digital Radio Network, live out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I am your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My wonderful guest tonight is Barbara DeLong. And Barbara, we're flying through the show, as always. Going pretty quick here.
Definitely.
Riding the waves of cosmic consciousness, I guess. And let's give everybody a rundown as far as how to contact you again and all that wonderful stuff, and also how to listen to your radio show.
Oh, okay. The website is barbaradelong.com. The YouTube channel is Barbara DeLong. And if they want to get a hold of me, they can get a hold of me at my email, which is barbaradelong@gmail.com. See, I make it easy for everybody. The Blog Talk Show is I do a Blog Talk show on a pretty regular basis, but I adjust that as far as the availability of guests. So you can go to Blog Talk and find out which is the next show coming up. And Freedom Slips I do every Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern, and it's at freedomslips.com.
Perfect. And I encourage everybody to tune into your show. And I've been honored to be on your show, and I love having you on mine. And it's a great show you have over there. So, tune in, everybody, and also check out the website. It's a fantastic website. We have so many different conversations. We can go into so many different areas. That's what I love when I interview you, is we can just go into multi-layers and multi-dimensional space. And I'd like your opinion. I know you were doing some remote viewing, and let us know what's going on with that. As far as you were doing some remote viewing with Bill Brown in the group, and where that's heading right now.
He's an archaeologist, and he spends 6 months of the year on the Giza Plateau, and he's done ground penetrating radar, and he's done a lot of things. And I had him on the show, and we were talking about the Giza Plateau, and he was saying, well, I've got sites that are marked out that, I may want to excavate, but and I'd be happy to give out anybody a map for these places if they want to go and stand on the places and see if, they feel the energy and everything. And when we went to break and we came back, and I said, not everybody is going to be able to do this. Why don't you do remote viewing to those places and just to see what's there? And he spoke with me the next day and he said, "Oh, you blew my mind. I never thought, can you do remote viewing?" And I said, "Yeah, you do it through meditation. You just take people into the astral and then take them to the location, and you guide them into whatever the location is that you're looking for." And so we started off with, he gave me several locations and we went into them, but every time we went into a location, we basically were interdimensionally traveling as well, so that sometimes we were seeing what was or what was there, and it was really fascinating, and so we kind of walked away from the Giza Plateau and we started looking at other areas where there were pyramids. I was basically hitting pyramids all over the world, and so we did the Antarctic. We did the Japanese pyramids. We did Monk's Mound, and we have in line to do we did the moon too.
Oh, you did do the moon.
We did
Very
the moon.
cool.
The moon one is there, and that the link to that is on the front page of my website. It's remote viewing, and it takes you to the blog, and the blog gives you information on the site we were going into. The meditations were usually about 15-20 minutes long, and then there's a place where you can leave your impressions. So and there, I think there are 7 or 8 sites there. I'm going to take people into Göbekli Tepe and I think Pumapunka, and some of the underground caves that are in Hungary and that area of Europe, and kind of take people into other. We did the first emperor of China as well. Went into his tomb, and then beneath the tomb into the catacombs that are there, so that what we were finding was that a lot of the areas are still tunnel systems that are labyrinths that are still open and still functional. Mm-hmm, but they're functional to other world people too, so that there are. And I think that they actually there are labyrinths there, but I do think that they're interdimensional ones. Mm-hmm. So that especially when we went into I think it was the first emperor of China's one, there were portals into other dimensions that were available. I mean, and we did the Dr. Sam's pyramids in Bosnia.
Bosnian pyramids, yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool one. We literally got to a point in the pyramid, in some of the tunnels, that we had to leave even the astral body aside, and we had to move in another form into another dimension. So they're really cool, and I do have a whole list of other places. It's just a matter of getting them up. It's because I do give information on the site so people have an awareness as to where we're going, and then we go in the meditation and I take them there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I know I've been able to participate a few times and I really enjoyed it. So I encourage anybody to reach out to you and contact you, get on a list of some kind next time you do that. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and the meditations are there, so you can, do them as often as you like too. Some people do them a number of different times and, get more comfortable with what they're seeing, and then, get other things. So it's been an adventure, and I think the cool thing about it is that in regular meditations, you're basically still in part in your body. When you do a meditation that takes you out of body, you're doing the meditation from the astral perspective, which is really, it's very different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Did you ever do the Bermuda Triangle?
No, not yet.
Okay, that's not yet. That's good. I think that would be a cool one. What about Area 51?
Haven't done that either.
Maybe that should be on the list, both of those, in my opinion, anyway. That'd be cool to check those out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I know, and I have I have a friend whose father was one of the guards at Area 51.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
And even at his death, he wouldn't talk.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Just talk to Tina Marie about all that stuff. But yeah, she can fill you in on all that. But yeah, I had a group of people that we remote viewed that area a long time ago, and I'll tell you the weirdest thing about it was we all got the same data, and none of us were we weren't trying to get the same information. It was very interesting. So that was about 7-8 years ago, I think. But yeah, I would encourage you to do that and see what you come up with.
Yeah, I love the blog for the remote viewing. I just think that's it's a cool blog. Well, and it was fun to do because I haven't ever done that before, and I think what I'm enjoying my new concept, my new philosophy is if I've done it once and did it well, don't do it again. Just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of letting things evolve on their own. And sometimes there's a frustration because sometimes you think you're ready to move forward and the universe doesn't think you're ready to move forward.
Uh-huh. Yeah, or you get adversaries that show up to try to challenge you from ascending or moving to the next level. I've had that happen in the past. So, yeah. But most of those are government. Most of those are just like the black science departments. Those are the ones that don't want people accessing, from what I've experienced. So it hasn't been an off-world species.
But I think what I find fascinating is that there's no reason why the truth can't be out there. There really is no reason.
There are no secrets in the universe. I always said that there are no secrets out there, and there's a full lot of Akashic. If people choose to access it, that's their, they can do that with their free will and their consciousness. But it's also tuning in and teaching people how to do these things, and that's what I like about what you're doing, because you're showing people a pathway to get through these things to a point where they can use their psychic abilities or whatever aspects they have. They just don't know how to use their power, if you ask me.
Well, no, I agree, and somebody once said to me, what do your followers think of what how you've evolved and what you're doing? And I said, I would be horrified to think anybody was following me because I don't know where the hell I'm going.
It's like Forrest Gump. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't like people following me either. I mean, I kind of know where I'm going, but I don't want to take responsibility for someone else if they don't like where I'm going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, basically, I will happily help people find in themselves what they are looking for, so they can do their own traveling. But I, my feet are just as much clay as everybody else's are, and it's important that people understand that everybody is responsible for their own evolution and their own growth, and you create your reality by your perspective of it. And, there's so many people out there that say, well, I can't do this. And no, you can't. If that's what you're putting out there, then that's what the universe is giving you.
Absolutely.
But, everybody's capable of doing everything.
Yep. It's a programming thing. They have to deprogram all that, all the junk, and actually reprogram their minds. Seriously.
Exactly.
So and hopefully they'll be able to do that. But, an indoctrination program happens at a very young age with kids and, from kindergarten and up, as you well know, so they don't get that opportunity to really understand their own capabilities of manifestation.
Really is sad. I mean,
yeah, it is.
When you think of you spend 20, 30 years trying to fit yourself into a mold that people created for you, and then you spend the next 30 to 40 to 50 years trying to break that mold and become the person you were meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean by there's been an awful lot of play happening here on this world and the illusion, and I think it's time to tear it all down and see it for what it really is. And that's what I like about the veils coming down. You touched on that earlier on in the show. But literally, it's about revealing that which has been hidden or deceiving us and just showing it and shining the light on these areas that are just, noxious to some degree, so that we can keep ascending and getting out of it. And also, once we understand that there's so much deception going on, it's much easier to take your power back and move on.
Oh yeah, but and it's funny because I keep telling people that okay, you're seeing a certain amount of diversity. You're seeing that what your perception of what you thought was carved in stone is not, and it's crumbling. But what it reveals is not the absolute truth. It's just another veil.
Right.
So don't be content when certain people are fired and certain people lose their jobs, because the structure that all of this deception has been created on is multi-layered. It's like an onion, And just because one veil falls doesn't mean there's not another veil here.
Yep.
So it's like with some of the politicians, they were good guys, they were bad guys, they were good by, and okay, so maybe they get fired, or maybe they get put in jail, but the people that were controlling them are still out there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're small beans compared to the bigger scenery behind it all.
Absolutely. We're just seeing, we're seeing those that were out there as cannon fodder falling. Mm-hmm. That's all. We aren't seeing, the depth to which all of this has been created. I mean, look at the founders of this country. They were deists. We weren't founded on Judeo-Christian, belief systems or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They were deists. This was an experiment. Mm-hmm. And you think that, they were noble and all of that stuff. Now, they were intellectuals for sure. And a lot of them were Freemasons. And, and I don't know what that has to do with it, but Freemasonry keeps coming into everything. So.
Oh yeah, well, it's mystery school teaching. If you ask me, it really boils down to the mystery school teachings, because even the Freemasons copy that from the ancient ones. So you're dealing with that, but also you're dealing with an infiltration and a distortion, because a lot of the Masons, even though they try to do really clear work, or they used to, they got infiltrated. So you have all kinds of stuff going on. It's like a bad coven. I mean, I've seen good witches and bad witches. It depending on the collective, they can become very disastrous. So. I don't know. It seems to me like it's really how you use the magic, how you use the mystery, how you use consciousness, and what you're willing to do to control, manipulate the mass collective is really the outcome, insofar as what they're trying to create.
And I caution everybody to not join groups, even if they look like they're the best group in the world. Don't join.
Yeah, be careful. I agree.
It's an independent journey. I mean, there are people out there that do radio shows on YouTube and stuff that are on there 4 and 5 times a day, and these people become groupies to them, and because they have 1,000 people listening, that the element of the glamour and the glory, it's like a vampire. They can weave this facade that people think is cool, and if they know your name, then you're important and stuff like that. And if there was initially a message, it's lost in the ego that is created by the attention that is given.
I agree. Yeah, if I had my way, I'd be under the radar like I used to be before I was pulled into that program, because the only reason I'm doing radio now is because I was pulled into that covert program, and that kind of pushed me into the whatever mainstream and the illusion of, but not even mainstream, but just out there. But I prefer to be.
You've got a message.
Yeah, I do. But I also get what you're saying, because, and I've been around hives, but hive collectives and covens, and I understand very clearly you have to be really synced up, and everybody has to be on the same page, or it is a nightmare. And also you bleed through and you get other people's energetic signatures. It gets really sticky. I think people should be very, very careful of what they do with collectives, covens, organizations, etc. Big time. Yeah. So you have some good points there. You really do.
Don't follow anyone. Hack your own pathway, because Absolutely. That's what we're meant to do. Mm-hmm. And certainly there are people who are synchronistically connected, and that's great. Share with them, but don't create a club, because
I agree.
And chat rooms are great, but they take on lives of their own eventually. I mean, I used to know when I had a really good show going because the chat room was quiet, and then there were other times where there were great recipes that were shared, but obviously the show wasn't that good. But it creates a gathering place for people who are groupies.
Yeah, it seems like that. It's interesting. I always call it a singular consciousness merged with source, I think is really what it boils down to, is who we are as multidimensional beings, but our singular consciousness merged with source, not to be part of the hive, not that we can't coexist as a collective, but we do have to be independent in our own pathway.
Well, and the thing is, if you become a group, then everybody has a singular mindset, and you lose your individuality, and you lose your own magic, because then it's a group energy, and that's really cool. But what happened to the independent pathways that everyone was on?
Exactly. And don't you think that that's what they're doing now with iPhones and everything else. They're trying to sync everybody up into that collective versus just being individual and unique.
Oh,
Or at least
yeah.
that's what it seems like to me anyway.
I mean, I like being weird. I like being different.
Oh, you're unique and beautiful and celestial, and I'm my own celestial design as well. I
Mhm.
mean, I appreciate uniqueness in everybody. I would like to say everybody is unique and individual, but when push comes to shove, the programs that are overlaying people are creating this hive collective that I don't think is part of anybody's personality. It's almost like having alters. You
Oh,
know, it's
yeah.
like- yeah, it can be kind of weird. It's almost like a virtual field. You know, we talk about avatar consciousness, but then there's their version of an avatar, which is really about the, you know, they're almost like a spin-off of transhumanism. I see that happening more and more. And it's sad because, you know, we grew up where we didn't have the technology. And I say it all the time on my show. I'm really blessed that I didn't have all that crap inundating me so that I could have my own beautiful design work in my own vibrational frequency. And not have it to be contaminated by everything that's here now. Because, I mean, we've taken enough hits as adults with these transmissions. So,
well, hey, I remember the first TV. I remember when there was only one program on.
It's amazing.
There weren't stations. There was, you know, I don't know, Howdy Doody and a couple of other things. And then you saw the signal on the thing until the next program may come on in 8 hours. And, you know, there were maybe 4 or 5 shows a day. And, you know, it just, there weren't computers when I was young.
It's a blessing.
There weren't cell phones.
I wonder if we're going to go back, you know, and forget and just let go of all these things and go back to the old ways. What do you think?
Well, you know, if our spirit's memory was really available to us, we'd be able to remember the times of the high technology, too.
Right. Well, I think we are the high technology, Barbara. I think that it's embedded in our cells and our atoms. I actually think that we are components. We are the devices in our own psyche and consciousness. I think that they're trying to create a version of us through artificial intelligence, their version anyway. That's just my own take on it. But
well, I mean, what? We only use 5 or 6% of our brain. What do you think the rest of it is for?
Exactly, and you know how multidimensional we are and how expanded we can be in consciousness. You can't tell me, I mean, we're capable of phase shifting and bilocating when we modulate our frequency correctly. So
Absolutely.
Once again, this place reminds me of a stasis where they're controlling and manipulating the frequencies to such a level they are scared to death of people phasing off planet. I swear to you they are. And I guarantee you that it's going to become one of those things where they don't want anybody leaving this world unless it's one of the quote-unquote wannabe elites or whatever, and I don't call them elites, but whatever they want to call themselves. I think it's going to get to that point where they're going to try to stop people from ascending off planet.
Well, I personally think that having a great deal of money is a burden because then you get complacent and apathetic.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, being hungry and on the edge is the better place to be. Of course, if I had a lot of money, it might change my philosophy just a little bit. But
I'd be off planet. If I have my fleet of ships and I'd be gone. I tell everybody that all the time.
Well, I like it here. I love the interaction with the people here. I really do.
Yeah.
And you know, every now and then I feel like I've really helped somebody or I've done something really good, and you know, I get a great deal of pleasure from that. So, you know, there's got to be a reason. And every now and then you get a fleeting glimpse of it, and it's kind of like, okay, you're on the right path, don't panic. And you know, it's so we keep going, and I think that's the excitement of it. And you know, I haven't been through what you've been through. I've been very fortunate. I've been very lucky. Mm-hmm. And you know, I didn't really intellectually plan any of my life. I mean, the only reason I became a school teacher was because it was the only profession I could get into that didn't require a foreign language. So, you know, and I did teach school for 25 years, but I think the element of teaching I am more enjoying now because it's on a different level and a subject I happen to adore.
Right. Exactly, and you're good at it too. And you are a blessing to a lot of people here, especially in a world that's very distorted at this point in the continuum. I always like to say God is an astronaut or creator source is an astronaut, and we are too. So, you know, I'm glad you're enjoying the ride here, and I'm happy that you're here. And I look forward to more journeys with you. But I want to thank you so much. You know, we're almost out of time here in the Illusion of Space and Time on the show. I must thank you so much for joining us. It's always such a pleasure to have you on, and I hope to have you back soon, of course. And, you know, if I don't talk to you before the holidays, have a wonderful Christmas, holiday, whatever you celebrate, enjoy it, solstice. Just have a wonderful, wonderful celebration, and a Happy New Year.
Oh, to you as well.
Well, thank you. And of course, if people want to reach out to you, just go to your website, robertdelong.com, and tune into your wonderful show. Right.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and it's been a pleasure. And everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for everybody in chat room over there. And wonderful thank you to my incredible producer, Tina Marie, and station owner who makes this network happen. Make sure that you tune in next week, and my special guests will be Space Boy and Sir Lana. They're finally coming over to the show here. And stay tuned for The Grind only at KCOR Digital Radio Network. And, of course, everybody have a wonderful, safe weekend. I think we're just about ready to roll out of here. So thank you again, Barbara. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, my pleasure.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Be safe out there.
Stand by.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
You've been listening to Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris BlueRaven, where the truth is beamed to you at the speed of light. Live every Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. For more information on the host of Hyperspace, Solaris BlueRaven, please visit her website at nightshadowanomalydetectives.com. Hyperspace. Once thought a theoretical dimensional anomaly, now a tangible cosmic waveform to the truth. Hyperspace.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.